Today's class is on the 11th of February 2007, and this is a special class on, we'll be starting at least with the horoscope of Śrī Rāma, with good reason. To learn these horoscopes, to use these horoscopes, or rather, the way we use them in tradition, is that the first lesson normally comes from learning the horoscope of Śrī Rāma. The student is taught to draw the chart, preferably in a chart style of the Guru, that the Guru will teach the child or the student, and specifically by drawing these positions in the chart of Śrī Rāma, they say that the Jyotish process starts. The process of learning Jyotish, understanding Jyotish starts. So naturally this is something that we have to cover as well in the classes. So, now, Śrī Rāma's horoscope is what we'll start with. There are horoscopes for each of the avatars. There is also, I have even seen a horoscope for Narasimha. However, I have not seen all the planetary positions. But we do already have a horoscope for Śrī Rāma, for Krishna, his Amsa avatar of Krishna, namely Chaitanya. We have the horoscopes from our Parampara. We'll be covering some of these charts today, mainly to remember them and how we use them in the tradition to learn Jyotish. Okay. So, horoscope of Śrī Rāma. It is said that he has 5 exalted planets or own sign. The dictum is 5 own sign or exalted planets. Okay? That is the wording used is Svocha. Hence people say it can also mean own sign. Most people interpret this as exalted. The date that he was born on is said to be Shukla Navami with Punarvasu Nakshatra. I believe we had some confusion in the previous class whether it was Pusha or Punarvasu. It is Punarvasu.
Shukla Navami.
Shukla Navami, Punarvasu Nakshatra. Some people have some mixed ideas about exactly when this birth took place. But what is for sure, as far as Yuga calculations are concerned, he was said to have been born in the, what was it, Treta Yuga. Yes? It was Treta Yuga. That means any attempt to calculate his birth time is, with the present day software, somewhat impossible. The ephemeris that we have nowadays only goes to around 5000 BC. With that we should be able to calculate Krishna's horoscope, but not Śrī Rāma's. So any attempt to find his horoscope within this 1,000 year span should not be done, unless our ephemeris gets better. So this is why I put a lot of stress on Ayanamsa, on ephemeris, things like that.
Perhaps even those softwares that use the formulas for calculating the planetary positions should be possible to utilize for...
That is what we should be aiming towards, yes. And this knowledge about calculating them should be found in the Surya Siddhanta. However, to date, there has not been a complete and thorough investigation into some of the intricacies of the calculation of these positions, such as the distance between the Sun and Earth, whether it is increasing or decreasing, or what is happening over time, and with which rate it's doing so. This is supposed to also be revealed in some of the scriptures and the calculations. However, not clearly, but in the calculations themselves it's supposed to be so. Now, so do not try to find this chart in Jagannath Pura. First of all, you will not be able to find it. If our understanding of the Yuga calculation is correct, you will not be able to find it. Now, he is said, formally in the tradition it's accepted that he has Cancer Lagna. That is also given in the scriptures presenting his chart. He is supposed to have Moon and Jupiter on the Lagna. So this Jupiter is the first planet which is exalted among the 5. Cancer Lagna means Libra will be the 4th house. Saturn is there. So it's also exalted. He's the second planet which is exalted. Mars is in the 7th house, also exalted. Thus, Sun is in the 10th house, also exalted. And Venus is in the 9th house, also exalted. So, he has 5 exalted planets as a result. Rahu is in the 6th house, in Sagittarius, thus making it debilitated, and thus Ketu is also debilitated in the 12th house. Mercury is in the 11th house, in Taurus. Some people think that this could be in a 10th house, this Mercury. However, I will give a reasoning why this may or may not be so. But it is not exalted. Mercury is in either Taurus or Aries. And I think we have covered all the planetary positions as a result. Notice that Saturn is opposite the Sun in this chart. Saturn in Libra, Sun in Aries. So, as a result, Saturn must be retrograde. Because when an outer planet is opposite the Sun, it will always be retrograde. Always. Retrogression starts when a planet, at least for the outer planets, that is Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, they begin their retrogression when they get to the 9th house from the Sun, and they end it in the 5th house from the Sun. Okay? Actually, from the planet's perspective, it will be 5th house, Sun moving there, and then moving all the way to the 9th house from the same planet. So that entire span is supposed to be when the planet is in its retrogression. So Saturn in the 4th house must be in retrogression. We usually mark that with a parenthesis around it, or we write or underline it, or we put a small, sign of an R next to it, just to show it's retrograde. That you decide yourself. For formality's sake, we normally put a parenthesis around it. Okay? So Śrī Rāma, he, as I said before, he's supposed to be born in Punarvasu Nakshatra on Navami Tithi. Now there's a problem in this, because if you do the calculations, then if the person is supposed to be born on Navami Tithi, what is the span of Navami Tithi? The Tithi is calculated by seeing the distance from the Sun, between the Sun and the Moon, yes? Now, each Tithi is 12 degrees, so Navami is the 9th Tithi. The 9th Tithi is between 96 degrees and 108 degrees from the Sun. That means the Moon must be in such degrees. Now, even if the Sun is in the beginning of Aries, 96 degrees therefrom will mean that the Moon is in between 6 degrees of Cancer and 18 degrees of Cancer. Okay? So the Moon should be between 6 degrees and 18 degrees of Cancer. However, Punarvasu is only in the first 3 degrees 20 minutes of Cancer. Ooh. So that means that his Moon would be in either Pushya Nakshatra or Ashrisha Nakshatra. Does that mean the Rishis are wrong?
No,
obviously not. Some people may even start thinking that maybe they use a different nakshatra scheme that time. Or the Ayanamsa was different. They may start philosophizing about that. Usually, when the Rishis used to mention what was in the sky, they were not wrong. Okay? They used the actual nakshatras in the sky. And if they're referring to Rashis as used in the tropical zodiac, they would use the word Sayana. Vyasa has done this. He refers to Sayana and Nirayana. Sayana is the tropical zodiac. Nirayana is the sidereal zodiac. Of course they knew both. They're very dependent on each other, these two zodiacs. But they'd clearly mention it. Especially in birth charts, they would definitely mention Nirayana. So, what could they be meaning, or what are they implying by saying that the Moon or that the nakshatra is Punarvasu? According to Satya Jatakam, that means that the Lagna can be stronger than the Moon, and thus it's dominating the nakshatra. Interesting, eh? Satya Jatakam says, find the struggle between Moon's nakshatra and Lagna's nakshatra. Use that for predictive purposes in the horoscope. And he actually, in such a case, will completely omit using the Moon's nakshatra. Keep that in mind. He'll actually omit using it completely. So in this chart, if Lagna is in Punarvasu nakshatra, that means it's in the first 3 degrees 20 minutes of Cancer. And Moon will be in, not in Punarvasu, it will be in either Pushya or in Ashrisha. Now, I had told you in a previous class that the nakshatra lord must be seen to see the strength of the horoscope and how long you'll be known, have fame, etc. So now tell me, which of the 3 planets which lord these 3 nakshatras. First tell me, which planets lord these 3 nakshatras? Who lords Punarvasu? Who lords Pusha? Who lords Ashrisha? Yes. Guru lords Punarvasu, Shani lords Pusha, and Buddha lords Ashrisha. Okay? If Sri Ram is supposed to have lasting fame as a Vishnu avatar, keep that in mind also, then it means that these planets we've mentioned must be strong in the chart. Okay? Now tell me, based on Sri Ram's horoscope, which of these planets, that is Jupiter, Saturn or Mercury, are strong?
Jupiter is extremely strong, with big bala and exaltation in the Lagna, in Simhasana position.
Yes, Jupiter is very strong. It's in Lagna, it is exalted, it is joined the moon, Gajikeshari Yoga is there, full Gajikeshari Yoga, full fame, lasting fame. Hamsa Mahapurush Yoga, very, very powerful yoga. Okay?
Digbala.
Digbala, everything, full flow. Okay? Very strong. Saturn, he's in Libra, exalted. Keep in mind, he's exalted. He's retrograde, however. Okay. So there could be, if that was the planet, then there could be some, retrogression as far as his reputation and his remembrance of him is concerned. One day, this is supposed to indicate that he could be forgotten or misplaced or misjudged, something like that, misunderstood. Possibly. Mercury is not in exaltation or anything. It's in Taurus, or it can be in Aries. Is there a possibility that it could be exalted in Navamsa? Only if it's in the last portion of Taurus, or if it's in the 6th portion of Aries, Navamsa-wise. So that possibility is there. However, if you were to judge based on these 3, who would you take? Guru. Definitely. Vishnu avatar, and he's remembered for so many births, so many lifetimes. He's supposed to be coming from a different yuga altogether. We still remember him.
It's got amazing fame considering that.
Amazing fame. Now you understand how strong that moon and Jupiter is in his lagna. I don't even have to look at the horoscope to know that his nakshatra dispositor must be very strong in his horoscope. He's a Vishnu avatar, and we remember him many thousands of years after he's been born. Okay? Good. Now, of course, Vishnu avatars, still Vishnu, though he is God, Amsa of God. It doesn't mean God is beyond the creation that he himself makes. He has to live up to his own creation. You see that? There's supposed to be many, many forms of God.
So I have one clarification on this. Now we've done this part, then you can also do the opposite part. Like say if you look at riches, you also look at see if this yoga is for poverty. Now in this case, could we also look at the moon and suggest which nakshatra the moon is in, and see what the lord of that could be, and whether that's in high dignity.
What I'm trying to imply by this is, since the moon can not only be in Saturn's nakshatra or Mercury's nakshatra, and the lagna is